Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I'm Lynn. This is the place that braiders turn to learn braided hairstyles, develop tenacious hustle, and flourish in hope. Today we are jumping right into this video because I'm going to show you 5 ways of how to do a knotless braid. So previously on my channel, I've shared with you a video that was called 5 different ways of how to do a feed-in braid. And so we are going to take those exact same principles, but this time we're going to apply it to knotless braids. So in this method, which is going to be considered method 1, this method is going to be called follow the leader. As you can see, I already have this section separated in 3 equal parts. So now I'm going to place my hands and get ready to braid. I'm going to use my right hand. Using my pointer, I'm going to go underneath the middle section and grab the piece to the furthest left. Once I have that secure, I'm going to do the same thing with my left hand, and I'm going to go underneath and grab the piece furthest to the right. Once I am ready and my hands are secure, I'm going to use a strand of the braiding hair, and I'm going to take that strand and wrap just half around my pinky and direct it right over the top of the braid underneath my pointer and thumb. I'm going to do a braid movement. Okay, so that'll be one. I'm going to do another one, and then I'm going to take that piece and it's going to follow right behind between my pointer and thumb. Okay, so let's do it one more time. I'm going to take a piece of the braiding hair and wrap it around my pinky, taking the second half and inserting it in between my thumb and pointer. Now I'm going to do 2 braid movements, 1 and 2. And once I do the second one, we're going to follow that piece right behind and just continue to braid. So guys, this is the follow the leader method. It's the same way we did it when we did it for a feed-in braid, but this time we are using this method for a knotless braid. Then once you've gotten to a comfortable place where you feel like you can turn your hands, you can then go ahead and do so and then finish braiding down the rest of the hair in your preferred way. Method number 2. Method number 2 is going to be follow the leader, but this is going to be the modified version, okay? So have you ever watched an exercise video and they'll show you the way of how to do this exercise, but maybe if you're not so quite ready to do it in that exact way, they'll give you an easier version to approach that same exercise? Well, this is what follow the leader modified is, okay? So it's going to have the same concept and it's going to get you the same result, but we're going to do it just a little bit differently. So instead of crossing over the pinky, we're just going to take 1/2 of the hair and slip it right under between our pointer and our thumb, just like we did before. But we're not going to pull it across the pinky, okay? So we're going to do the braid movements just the same and pull that back in. Let's add another piece. We're going to slip it right under. We're only taking 1 strand and then we're pulling that strand back in after 2 braid movements. Okay, so this one you can see it's a little bit easier to approach, but you are still going to get the same result. It really is a matter of preference. Okay, let's do method 3. This is what I like to call all or nothing, okay? And again, same with the feed-in braids. We did an all or nothing method. We're going to do the same thing for these knotless braids. So I'm going to go ahead and do my braid movements just as I have been doing, but this time we are adding in the whole strand. We're not leaving anything out. So you're just going to add your strand and continue to braid. Now let me just try to give you a little bit deeper of an explanation. Once you slide that strand in, the top of it's going to match up with the strand on top, and the underneath is going to match up with the middle strand. So I hope that makes sense, guys. I'm going to show you again. You're just adding in the whole strand and just braiding. So you don't have to leave anything out. It is probably one of the most popular or preferred methods when it comes to doing feed-ins or knotless braids. And if you have any questions that I can answer further, please go ahead and leave those questions in the comments. I'd be happy to answer any question that I can. Method number 4. Guys, in this method, we're going to turn things upside down. So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to do what's called an underhanded braid. Or if you saw the other video, I called this a knuckles down braid, okay? So instead of your knuckles facing up, they're kind of facing down towards the head. Now, in this method, we're going to use the follow the leader, but we're going to be doing that modified version. So we're only going to enter half of the strand. We're doing the same exact thing, but our knuckles are down. We're doing this underhanded method, okay? Let's do it again. We're going to go ahead and add that strand only half, okay? We're going to do a braid movement and another braid movement, and then we add that piece right in that was hanging to the side. So I'll tell you why I like this method. Whether you're using the follow the leader, modified, or you're doing the full version, when you only add in half the strand when you're starting the braid, to me, it just keeps the braid so consistent. One thing that I do not like is if I see a knotless braid that just got too big, too fast, right? It makes the braid look lopsided and it just doesn't make for a good looking consistent braid. But for me, I noticed that if I only add half the strand at a time, I noticed that the beginning of the braid really begins to match the density of my client's hair. And then as the braid builds up some depth, if I have to add in the full strand, then that's no problem because now the depth has been created for the braid. It's just something I don't like to do too soon because you want that braid to come looking so naturally, like it's coming right out from the scalp. So adding just the half will help you create a much smoother braid and also give you a lot more control. It's just an approach that I like, and I find that it helps me keep my braid nice and consistent. Okay, method number 5, let's get to it. So we are still keeping the underhanded method going, but this time with the braiding hair, we are going to slip under a full piece, okay? So we're going to take our braiding hair and we're going to slip it right underneath our thumb and pointer. Okay, one strand's going to go over the top of the thumb, the other one's underneath. And you're just going to go ahead and braid like we normally would. Again, we're going to take another piece of braiding hair and we're going to slip it right underneath our thumb and pointer. The top strand's going to go over the thumb, the other strand's going to go underneath, and we're just continuing to braid. Now, this to me is probably, again, one of the most popular methods to do knotless braids. However, if you are going to do this method, you may just want to watch the sizing of the strand. So if you are going to do this, maybe try using just a slightly smaller strand when adding in the hair. And to me, to be honest, when doing knotless braids, it's like, make sure that your strand is smaller than the strand of the hair that you're going to be inserting it under, okay? That to me just really helps keep your braids nice and consistent as well. And that is the whole point of knotless braids. Like, they're supposed to look natural. They're supposed to look effortless. You know what I mean? And honestly, it's okay if you use smaller pieces. The smaller the piece that you use, the more control that you're going to have. But you also have to be able to use judgment, because if you're doing medium braids, you don't want to be using sizes for large or jumbo. If you're doing jumbo, you may not want to make the pieces as small as you would be doing for a medium set. So just always keep in mind the size in which you are doing. Always keep in mind the density of your client's hair, because that is also going to determine how large your pieces should be. So if you have someone that has super, thick hair, you may have to add just a slightly larger piece. Not too large, because again, you don't want the braid to turn or to be lopsided or to get too big too fast. And you want to make sure that the braids are not too heavy, because this is supposed to be a protective style, okay? So I really hope that in some of these methods that you either learn something completely new, or that you have found a way that you could even enhance the way that you create and do your knotless. So please just allow me a moment to just ease your mind. So for anyone who is wondering, oh my goodness, do I need to know how to do every single one of these methods in order to do, a set of knotless braids? The answer is absolutely not, okay? There are some braiders who have their method and they use that same exact method throughout the entire head, and that is absolutely okay. For me, I just like to know multiple ways of how to do a thing. And the reason for that is because for me as a braider, there are times where my hands and my wrists are more comfortable on certain parts of the head. And so, for example, when I'm braiding in the back or I'm braiding in that nape area, I may like to use the fourth method or the fifth method where, my hands are in that underhanded position. That when I'm doing knotless, I find that to be the most comfortable for me. But when I get to the top of the head, I like to do the overhanded method. So I really do a plethora of different methods, but for me, it doesn't matter which method you choose as long as you're getting consistent results. So you can see in this set that I'm showing you here, I have used 5 different methods in this one set of knotless. But guess what? You probably cannot tell which braid was done using which method. And for me, as long as it's consistent, as long as they look the same, as long as the sizing looks good, as long as the parts look good and everything looks the same, it doesn't matter which method you use. So you find which works best for you, and then you utilize that for your clients to ensure the best result. So guys, I'm just going to go ahead and finish up with the finishing touches to the style. It's pretty much customary that at the end of, a protective style like this, to use some type of setting foam or styling foam on top of the style. It is really your client's probably favorite part of the style. It's nice and cooling to the scalp, and it really does set the style by settling a lot of the flyaways. Then we are going to very carefully hot water set the ends of our client's braids which is going to help make sure that our braids do not unravel, and also again really help with any flyaways and things like that at the bottom. You can go ahead and do a little trimming or whatever you decide to do in your end steps, but these are steps that are very important to just really bring the style together. If you haven't already done so and you don't want to miss a future upload, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and make sure you click the little notification bell so that you will be alerted every single time I drop a new video. Thank you so much for joining me today. God bless, and I'll talk to you in the next video.